Nah.
Okay, are we about ready to kick off this party?
Ready here.
Okay. Thank you all for coming here. Appreciate it. One thing I wanted to get the opinion of the membership from. In the past, we've been using 1600 by 1080 for our image sizes for competitions. Since we don't use that projector anymore, it's not really a requirement. I have had a couple of judges who use 4K monitors who said, it's a little bit small to look on my big ass 4K monitor.
Yeah, it is.
So what do y'all think about bumping up the size to 2560 by 1440? It's effectively 2K or some, video resolution would be Quad HD. Yeah, thank you, Kyle.
Hallelujah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm all for it.
Okay, anybody who's in Zoom, if you go to the bottom of your screen to the little icons there, you got a reactions one. If you could just give me a thumbs up if you think this is a good idea and you want to move forward with it. I see a couple popping up there. Very good, very good.
That's what we're going to do.
All right. Okay, well, I think it makes sense to do it too, since, again, we're not using the projector anymore, and it will help when judges evaluate the images prior to the competition and probably look better on the screen when people are using, HD monitors even. So for the next competition and for the rest of the year, we will go to that size. I will make the necessary changes to the form on the website. I'll push out an email to everybody also, because obviously we don't have the whole membership here. Thank you all. Would somebody let me know how many people we've got in the room and if we have any guests?
42. 100.
Liar.
50.
I think we have 11 in the room.
11.
Awesome. Thank you, Dave. All right, so as you know, our subject is monochrome, and our technical definition is black and white is the most popular form of monochrome photos, but variations of single hues like sepia, cyan type, etc., are also qualified. You will see some, tinted images this evening. Whether you choose grayscale, including infrared, or go full cyanotype is up to you. And a few people did do the color variation, since the color grading capacity in Lightroom and Photoshop makes things so much easier. It's very simple to do a sepia tone. So if you haven't explored it or tried it, maybe you should. And is Jenna in the room?
Yeah.
Hi, Jenna.
Hi.
Jenna Dockweiler is a new member. She attended a couple of meetings and apparently was impressed with us for some reason and decided to join the club. So welcome to you, Jenna. We're glad to have you as part of the family here. And hopefully you learn a lot and connect with a couple of photographers in the room and in the group. Okay, so as I said in my email, the judge this evening was going to be Jeff Johnson. A number of you people probably know him or know of him. All I will say is that the medical issue that Jeff encountered was having a stroke last week. And therefore, of course, he was not available for us this evening. So stepping in this evening is Cliff Lawson. Cliff is a longtime Focus member. In fact, he's the one who got me into Focus Camera Club after nagging for a while, which is okay. I was resistant. I'm sorry.
And they've never let me live it down.
Exactly. All right. Cliff is a member of PPA, also a member of PPC, Professional Photographers of Colorado. He has won awards at the state, regional, and international level in print competitions. Some of his prints have been in the PPA showcase on loan collections. And recently, Cliff's big project has been his Veterans Project. He's been doing that for a couple of years. And if you've been in the club for more than a year or two, you've seen a few of them that he's submitted in competitions. And he's an excellent photographer, and we're glad that he was able to join us this evening and judge for us. Cliff, is there anything else you want to add to that?
I joined Focus 20 years ago this month.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, June of 2003. Yep. And nobody brought the cake. That's right. Nobody.
What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah.
He brought me in too. Good luck.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. And I bought Frank in.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
And also me too.
And Todd Lytle I brought in.
And
Yeah.
Dan
Yep.
Greenberg.
And Dan Greenberg, right. Yeah, I'm gonna go be an Army recruiter.
There you go. There you go. Well, we thank you for your service to the club to
Yeah.
get new members in here. So
You bet.
appreciate it. All right. So most of you have been through competitions before. You know how this goes. Bob's gonna show the images on the screen. Cliff will give us his evaluation of them and commentary. And once we have a collection of 9s or 10s, we'll stop and talk to the makers of those images. And due to the fact that we have 47 images tonight, there's a real good chance that we'll take a 5-minute break in the middle of this shindig and get people to walk around and stand up and stretch and get a glass of water or whatever they need. So,
You know, we
Yeah.
should start by saying every judge's disclaimer, and that is, these are just my opinion. So my
Exactly.
score does not represent your value as a human being, either good or ill. And another judge might judge higher or lower than what I judge.
there you go. All right. This is grain silos.
Yeah, this is really an excellent image. It looks like it hit just about all the different zones, from the deep blacks to the bright whites, and yet the whites have detail in them. Great composition, like just kind of a leading line of all those from the lower left up to the upper right. This is really great textures. I really like this. I'll give this a 10. This is a great image. Good use of black and white.
Curtain of light.
It's again, we've got a nice range of shades here from the darks up to the lights. It's kind of an abstract. This is a nice image. It doesn't have a lot of impact for me. It's interesting. I'll give this an 8.
Plates, cup, and saucer.
Ultra high key here. This is really an interesting, well done image. I would like to have seen a little more contrast in this. At the upper right, the dishes just fade right into the background. They kind of disappear up there. I think if there'd be just a little more, bring up that left end of the curve just a little bit to darken those just a touch. Otherwise, it would have been a 10, but with that, because it blends into the background, I'll give this a 9. Good image, though.
Gracefully fallen.
Sounds like the name of a rock group. Gracefully fallen. Well, you couldn't do anything about the sky. You got what you got on the sky, which is too bad. It's kind of bland back there. It's too bad we didn't have a little more contrast in the sky. But it looks like to be really quite sharp, right from the part that's up close to us, all the way out to the branches. Really well done. Again, the tones are great. There's detail in the lighter side. Some of the blacks are blocked up, but that's okay. They're in the shadows, so we can live with that. I'll give this an 8.
Elegance.
It really is. This is beautiful. You know, most flower pictures are color for good reason, but using black and white for these it's really nice. The way the background blurs back there is well done. There's just enough room on the left side. You didn't cut off the petals. Good detail throughout. This is really nice. And anybody that knows me knows I hate flower pictures. And the only reason I don't like flower pictures is I find it, as a portrait photographer, I find them hard to judge. But this one, I don't have any excuse. I have to give this a 10. This is really, really nice. Beautifully done.
Fellowship of the Dunes.
This one, it's a great capture with those people up there on the I have to wonder, they are so equally spaced. I have to wonder if they were really there. It doesn't matter. The image is what it is. But there's too much sky. I would come down I'd take off about half of that sky. It's not interesting. There's no clouds in it. I mean, it's all clouds, I should say. There's nothing there. So your eye goes up there and there's no reward. And the sand has no detail in it. In those wide swaths of sand. And I've done enough pictures down at the sand dunes. Sand has texture and detail. I'll give this a 7.
Blacks and whites in black and white.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, what great composition. You didn't cut off the nose of the one on the far right. You left a little space on that right side. This is what a great capture of these zebras. I don't have anything to say about this in the way of what would make it better. It's just really, really well done. I'm going to give it a 10, and I wish it were mine. It's really good.
Invasive.
Yeah. As you guys all know, we get the judges get to see these a day or two ahead of time. So we can evaluate the actual quality of the image. This one's awfully flat. There's detail in here that you're not really showing. And let me take a look. I looked at it at home too. Let me look at it on the computer here. It's a great capture of this little fella or little girl, whatever he or she is. Yeah, it is better on the computer than it is on this screen. But the composition is great. It's over there on a PowerPoint on the left side, not smack in the middle. I'll give this one an 8, having seen it on the computer. An 8.
Tethered.
A really interesting image. The light is really cool. But here's why I'm going to take it down one notch from what it would have received. Those posts are darker at the top than they are at the bottom. It looks to me like the maker darkened the whole top. Trying to darken the sky also darkened the tops of those poles. But the light on the poles should be the same at the bottom as on the top. I would have given this a 9 if those poles had the same tonality top to bottom. It's really a cool image. The person in there is very sharp. I mean, it's everything else about it is really good, but it looks like it was just darkened everything rather than just the sky. So I'm going to give this an 8.
Peace lily.
Another flower picture that I hate, but it's excellent. It's really well done. Again, this is one of those cases where the bullseye, put a smack in the middle really works. To have set this off to the side, like to use the rule of thirds would have been silly. Nice detail in the middle on that, and plenty of detail in the leaf itself. Well lit. I give this a 9. Well done.
Gone but not forgotten.
Great tonality. It's a wonderful tree there. And a great angle, low enough. You got down low enough and you lined up the stones just perfectly. I love this image. It's got detail in the whites, details in the dark, in the blacks. Too bad you didn't have a better sky, but that's nothing you can do about that. I'll give this a 10. Very well done. I love this.
Standing alone.
Yeah, and here we are at Lone Tree. That's right. That's it. When I saw this at first, I thought, well, there's a little bit too much sky up there, but I kind of changed my mind. There's enough detail in those clouds that I think it works. Let me take a better look here. Good choice. You didn't put the horizon right smack in the middle like a lot of people would have, so that's good. Good tonality. I think it could use a bit more contrast. In other words, bring the brights up just a little bit, not a lot, which I think would improve this somewhat. But overall, it's a good image. I give this an 8.
Along the Columbia River.
think that's a good use of a sepia tone on this instead of just black and white. I think that really works here. A good composition with the wine glass where it is. I like the branches up at the top to kind of frame the image. It's an interesting composition. Putting that fence railing behind it there. I love that. But it does lack a little impact. I mean, it's an interesting image. I'll give this an 8.
Sunset at Bandon.
Really well done here. The sea and the clouds, lots of detail there. Plenty of detail in these rocks. Great composition with the is it a lighthouse or a bell out there? It's a lighthouse out there and about the third spot. The crop is great. A nice panoramic crop on this. That's really well done. Yeah, I can see this hanging on a wall. It's great leading line from the left leading out to the lighthouse. Good use of black and white. I give this 10. Really well. I really like this 10.
Foggy fishing.
This image would have really benefited from not so much sky up there. I mean, it's just a waste. This would make a great panorama if you brought that sky down from almost halfway down. I mean, your eye goes up there and what does it see? Nothing. But down, but the lower half of this is really interesting. There's detail in the water. The fog is really cool. The two fishermen on the left and one guy out there, way out there on the right. Sometimes less is better, and less sky would be a lot better in this with this image. Man, I'd come down almost to the treetops on that. And because of that, I give this an 8.
This is His Majesty. And Bob, after this one, we'll go and take a look at the 9s and 10s that we've had so far.
You know, this is a picture of a bird. It's just the bird's not doing anything. You know, it's wild. I'm not a wildlife photographer, but I do know that really good wildlife photography, the animal is doing something. This one, the blacks there, you look at the bottom of the bird there and the feathers, blacks are kind of blocked up. There's not really much detail there. The top of his chest doesn't have much detail. It's kind of blown out. It's just not an image that has much. It's just not very interesting. I'll give this a 7.
Okay, so this is Grain Silos, and this is from Dan Greenberg.
Yeah, this is grain silos. Let's see, am I muted? No, I'm not. Grain silos that I found in El Reno, Oklahoma, and it's actually a flour mill that's been there for a long time. And I just saw these lined up, and the light was kind of sideways on it. It looked pretty cool. I did it in color, and I added a gradient to the sky because the sky was kind of so I just did a plain gradient to make it darker at the top and less at the bottom. And then I converted it to black and white, basically. And I forgot how I converted it to black and white, but I know I used a computer. And that's about it.
And Plates, Cups, and Saucer is from Joe Bonita. I'm surprised Joe didn't make it this evening. Elegance is from Victoria Ashby.
Yes, thank you for your input. And I took this in color actually at Botanic Gardens, and I switched it to black and white and liked it 100% better. But I also want to say, Bob, I'm glad I didn't know that you didn't like flowers. I changed my mind. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
Blacks and Whites and Black and White is from David Besson.
Yeah, I took this last month in Botswana, and it was interesting because we followed these zebras for about 2 kilometers. There were probably 30 to 35 of them. And I had to unfortunately crop the ones, there were another 3 or 4 off to the left. I had to crop them out to make the picture work, but they also weren't lined up as nicely. But yeah, they just came to this water hole for their morning drink.
Very cool.
And I took it in color.
I figured.
That was very nice, David. This is Peace Lily from Ron Schaller. I know Ron's out of town. He said this was taken with window lighting and LED light below. one of the nice things about black and white is you get mixed light sources and not worry about color, temperature, or anything. Gone but not forgotten. This is Sean Slade.
Hey, Cliff. Thanks for the comments. Appreciate it. Yeah, the sky, unfortunately. This is at Fort Rosecrans National Cemetery on Port Loma, San Diego. So you get some of that marine gloom. If the trees weren't so complex, maybe I'd have done like Dan and put a gradation on the sky. But no, there's some really cool hills and angles at this cemetery. So I'd let the black and white just kind of capture the moment more.
You know, you could use the Photoshop sky replacement. It works pretty well. That would have worked.
I'll have to try that.
In the tree.
Yeah, you just have to be careful with all those little holes in the tree there.
Yeah, but you know, I've tried it. It seems to do a pretty good job.
Yeah.
With that, yeah.
Yeah, most of the time it
Worth
gets
a shot,
the little holes pretty well. It
Yeah.
usually does pretty good at it. I've been using it a lot too.
Then you can subtract from with the brush tool. There we go.
And Sunset Abandoned, this was Danny Lamb.
I saw a beautiful sunset when I just arrived Bandon and rushed to the coastal parking and I had about 2 to 3 minutes to capture the peak time of the sunset. I like both color and black and white versions. Thanks, Cliff, for your comments.
You bet.
Well, that's pretty damn good work for 2 to 3 minutes to set up and shoot. Man, that's awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, this would be Church of St. Mary.
Yeah, the sky gods were good to you here. They put some detail back there for you, which really helps. And this is the case where the bullseye composition works. You know, it strikes smack in the middle, but it makes it very powerful. There's detail throughout the whites and into the blacks, and it's a great juxtaposition of the white of the base and the black of that tower. Really makes for an interesting image. Nice detail in the wall at the very bottom there, that diagonal wall. I give this a 10 also. That's really well done. I like this a lot. I give this a 10.
I'm sorry, the title again?
Not Forgotten.
Not Forgotten. Okay. This is a great time of day to do this with those long shadows from the tombstones. And again, great positioning. See those long rows of the stones. The trees add a lot to this in the background instead of just having a blank sky back there. And it looks to me like good detail. If you look at the bottom of it, you can see the detail in the snow, and looking farther out, same thing. And really an interesting play on with the different angles of the tombstones compared to the shadows. Really well done. So I'm a 10 on this one also. Really, really good. Well, this one gets a 10. This one gets a 10 just looking at it. Look at that. Look at that alignment
St.
of
Louis Valley, Colorado.
that alignment of the cloud. Looks like it's the genie bottle coming out there. The detail in the objects there. I mean, this is really this is a spectacular image. The sky is great. It's just, you couldn't wish for a better alignment of the clouds with the tops of that center object there. I wouldn't be surprised if this was made up, but doesn't matter. It's a 10. It's a great image.
Hiding in the Clouds.
Well, it was good to make a panoramic crop out of this. That works pretty well. The clouds give you detail throughout the picture, but there's not much detail in the landscape itself. You know, that the image just doesn't have much impact at all, in my opinion. I mean, it's interesting with them just poking out of the clouds and all, but it just doesn't grab me. I'll give this a 7.
Photo tip: don't make eye contact.
Well, the dog part is good, but there's just not much detail around him or her. It's We got a little detail there in the lower right where, and you can see the paw prints. But it's like almost like the dog is just kind of floating out there. It needs shadow. It needs something there. I give this a 7. Just it just doesn't work for me.
Geometric shadows.
Good eye here with the intersecting lines, diagonal both directions from the whatever it is, a fence or a table, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Really well done. It's a great black and white abstract graphic image. I give this a 10. Really a good eye to see this, and detail. All those little the white areas all have detail in them. Really well done.
A hard moment in time.
Yeah. It's a great character image. It's cropped a little tight. It's just kind of confined this person. Of course, I don't know what was out on the outsides, but you've cut off the hair. But the important part, his or her face and the hand and the cigarette is really well done. I would like to have seen it not cropped quite so tight, but I give it a 9. It's overall, it's still a really good image, a sad image.
Bustleton Jetty.
You know what? When I saw this, when I got the pictures, I'm just not sure. It's interesting, but it's just kind of an I was there picture. It was, again, you can't do much about the sky. It was probably a cloudy day, but the sky is not interesting at all. Looks like a foggy day. That's what you had. It's kind of a documentary of, I stood there and took a picture image. I give this one a 7.
Eroding iceberg.
A perfect subject for black and white, isn't it? I mean, that's what they are. They're shades of gray and white. I mean, a minor point on this, I think I'd have cropped it a little bit more from the top. Again, we got a sky up there that doesn't give us a lot of reward when we look up there, but that's a minor point. The iceberg itself is really well done. Lots of nice detail throughout, detail on the dark parts, detail in the bright, not blown out. Just enough water on the bottom to give it a base. I'll give this a 10. Very well done.
Sharp eyes.
Yeah, this is beautifully done too. They're really, really sharp throughout. The eyes were sharp, and it's cropped just about right there. A nice vertical. I'm going to find my chair here. And it's great that the owl is looking backwards like that instead of looking ahead. In this case, the lack of clouds and everything behind it, it works. It's just a nice. It might have even detracted from this owl. So I'll give this a 10 also. Really well. It's a great wildlife shot.
Exit stage right.
But the door's on the left. Well, again, this is kind of a case of it's kind of like you're taking a picture of somewhere where you stood there. There's not interesting lighting. It does make a good black and white with the bricks. And it's interesting with that diagonal staircase there. But it's not, overall, it's not really an interesting image. It's just the back of a building without much interest. I'll give this one a 7.
Manhattan.
Really clever. I mean, what a great black and white image this is. I have no idea what those are, but it's a great title because you can certainly see those as being buildings. This would be a great print. I'm going to give it a 10. It's just, I can't say anything. There's no negatives that I can see here. The whites are not blown out. There's even in the dark parts of the blacks, there's detail in there. It's a gorgeous image. 10. Yeah, it's beautiful.
This is Thistles in the Moonlight. And again, Bob, after this one, we'll break for some 9s and 10s and talk to the makers.
Wasn't sure what to make of this. It's I think the blue tone and calling it moonlight, that's good. That's interesting. Looks like there's a bug right there. That's yeah. Almost a macro picture, really. And it is interesting the way those little balls, so to speak, kind of fade off into the distance off to the upper left. Really great detail in the whatever you call those needles or whatever those things, the thistles are. I think this is an interesting image. I'll give this one an 8.
Yep, there you go. The Church of St. Mary from Bill Rothenmeier.
Yes, thank you for your comments. This is a church in Fulton, Missouri. It's a church that was destroyed in World War II and was rebuilt at Fulton, Missouri at the National Churchill Museum. Beautiful church.
This would be Not Forgotten from Bill Williams.
Yes, that was out at Fort Logan, first thing in the morning, just went out there to try to see if I can get some shadows and whatnot. And came up with a couple of good pictures, but this is one that I really that struck me and whatnot. Hopefully, I wish I would have gotten a little bit earlier or whatever. The sun was just blocked by a cloud or whatever. And I was hoping to get some more bright sun in the back sky, but it didn't come about for me.
Well, still, that was an awesome image. And this is Synchronicity from Todd Lytle.
Thank you, Cliff. Thank you for your nice comments. I actually submitted this specifically for Jeff Johnson because he led a tour right past these recently down for the Great Sandhill Crane Migration. And I couldn't afford his tour, number one. Number two, I really got very average Sandhill Crane pictures. Probably should have bellied up for the seminar, for the outing. But anyway, I ended up getting some silos instead. So there you have it.
Well, you know, Todd, Jeff taught me most of what I know, so it kind of works.
Thank you.
That's a great image, Todd. Thank you. Geometric Shadows. This is Susan Hafke.
Thank you, Cliff, for your comments. These are shadows from a pergola at Chimney Rock Visitor Center near Pagosa Springs.
The shadows from a what?
A pergola.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Very nice. It was nice that you saw that just pass by.
Thank
Caught
you.
your eye, yeah. A Hard Moment in Time is Andy Robbins.
So this was shot downtown Denver near Union Station. She was sitting on a park bench and shot it in color and then decided I liked it better in black and white. And then, yes, I always do a lot of cropping, and I'll show you the original image and get a little more feedback from you. See,
Yeah, you bet.
This is a very nice image, Andy. Personally, I kind of like the tight cropping because it kind of, for me, adds to the image of that person kind of all drawn in to themselves. This is Eroding Iceberg from Oz Feniger.
Yeah, so this was one of the pictures I took on our trip to Antarctica. And the melting ice gives you all kinds of sculptures, shapes. It's a neat place to go. And just a plug for next meeting, I'll be presenting pictures from that trip. So do come.
Cool.
I didn't know you went to Antarctica. How come you didn't tell anybody you were going?
Maybe he didn't want the company.
Yeah. Didn't he go 3 times?
Yeah.
This is Sharp Eyes. This is from Dan Greenberg.
Thank you, Cliff. First of all, this is a 7 that I re-entered. I just thought and it's been redeemed because the last person, even though it's the exact same file, thought it wasn't sharp and she gave it a 7, which is bizarre. But anyway, this is an owl that I've been chasing. I've been trying to get a picture of like for the last 30 years or so, because we have owls at our house. This is just outside my front yard. And always you see them and hear them at night. You never see them during the day. And I finally did after this one had just killed a rabbit in our backyard. And luckily, he or she redeemed herself or himself by at least posing for me. So I was very happy with that. And this one also did have clouds in it, but I used sky replacement on this as well because I didn't like, the clouds were kind of mushy, icky. They distracted from it. So I took them out.
I think that
Anyway.
works. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Cliff.
Yes, sir.
Well, there you go. Dan just proved to us that sky replacement can be very effective. This is Manhattan. It's from Joe Benita, and unless Joe's sitting in the room there, he's not here on Zoom.
Not in the room. No, it's no joke.
All right, yeah, because I want to know what this is too. This is obviously not buildings. This is some kind of abstract something.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that Joe really excels at.
So there's a place in Denver, just kind of Lakewood, that's a brick company. And I went out there, did some photography, a while ago, and I think those are actually. That's what I think. Looks very similar.
Okay, before we get going here, do you guys want to take a 5-minute break?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, well, we'll halt here. We'll take 5 minutes, get up, stretch, get some water, and
I need a drink.
come back soon. Timer is set.
Okay, so what was the title on this one?
This is Sunday Stroll.
Sunday Stroll, thank you. I think it's crooked. I think that spire leans to the right.
Leaning tower.
Yeah, it's the leaning. Yeah.
Piece of it.
But that aside, I'll because maybe I'm wrong, so I'll ignore that. You know, I looked at this when I saw the images. It's just, again, it's one of those like, okay, it's a picture of a building. I will say that the picture of, I guess it looks like a nun walking through is the subject. And without her, this would be a 6 because it's just a picture of a uninteresting building. But the maker blew the chance of making this really good by cutting off the shadow. Her shadow would have made this image, in my opinion. Then that building just became a background and the Sunday Stroll. But as it is, this is a 7.
Trunk wrestling bachelor elephants.
This is just a stunning image. And the tusks really make it. Those little strips of white with those tusks and the detail in their skin. It's a 10. Actually, it's an 11. It's really excellent. It's everything about it. You can see their eyes. I mean, there's light in the eyes even, but the composition of the trunks wrapped around and the tusks the way they are. It's just a wonderful image. It's a good solid 10. It's wonderful.
Old Soul.
Well, if this is the dog of the person that took the picture, they probably, it's like taking pictures of your kids. You're so invested in the picture that any critique I have is of your kids, not of the picture. It's okay, but we kind of, if we had drifted off into more of a silhouette on the right, maybe. And the left half of this image is really nice. Plenty of detail in there. Okay, it's better than I thought. On the TV screen there, it looks kind of washed out. It's kind of needs more contrast. But looking here on the computer, no, it's good. Yeah, it's okay. It's better. It's better than I thought. Okay, I'll give this one an 8.
Building it.
I don't know what to make of this. We've got this really bright light from the bottom, but I don't know where that light's coming from. The building that's below there, the light's not, that's dark. It's kind of, actually, and it's kind of muddy. it's a very low contrast, kind of muddy blacks and grays in it. But what's the light that's lighting those people from below? I mean, I'm having a cognitive dissonance here. It's and yet on the other hand, it's really kind of interesting. And one thing you should never do is confuse a judge. And you've done a really good job of it. So I'm torn between a 6 and a 10. Hang on a second. 7 and 3/4. I'm going to give this an 8 because it's really interesting, but I still don't understand it. So it's an 8.
Leading the drive.
The good use of the kind of a sepia toning to this, it really fits the feel of the image, kind of an Old West look, except Old West, except for the girl with a baseball cap. But other than that, it's very well done. Nice detail on the horses there in the center. The way that the dust kind of softens the horses back there in the rear. The light vignette works in this image. Ordinarily, I don't like vignettes that are on the light side, but this, I think it works here. It kind of gives it that old look. The only real detriment in this, the only thing holding this image back, and there's nothing you could do about it, was the young lady on the left was looking back instead of looking forward. But there's nothing you can do about that. I'll give this a 9.
Arroyo.
When I saw this at home, I thought, this looks awfully flat. And it is. So I pulled it up in Photoshop and I just took the curves and, brought the right side in and brought the left side in. And this thing really popped. It's a great image, but this one isn't. It's just the lights aren't light enough. The darks aren't dark enough. It's kind of a flat, really uninteresting image. I'll give this a 6.
Abandoned in Palouse Valley.
And in Denver, that would be $1.3 million right there. That's it.
Eastern Washington. That's
Yeah. Well, this image has a mix. The house is wonderful. I mean, great detail. It's sharp. And then your eye kind of goes up there and you got this black sky up there. And this is another one where, man, if you brought that down, if you crop that sucker, in fact, I'd take the whole sky out. I think it makes a huge difference. But that's just me. But then I'm the judge. And I will tell you this: if that thing were cropped down, get rid of the sky, I'd give this at least a 9. But the image that I'm looking at, my eye goes up there and wants to find something, and it doesn't. Well, because this is my 20th anniversary, I'll give it an 8.
Out of business.
Great image. Well, look at those leading lines coming in there from the railroad tracks next to that, whatever that is, the silo, flour mill, whatever, balanced by the trees on the other side. The sky gave you just enough clouds to give you some interest in the sky back there. Nice detail in the gravel on the track bed. Excellent composition. Great detail in that building. Good tonal range from the blacks through the whites. This is really well done. I'll give this a 10. It's really nicely done.
Follow Me.
This is probably a killer in color, but it makes a great black and white too. Black and whites are all about textures and lines. And boy, this thing has that in spades. God was smiling on you, gave you a great sky for this instead of that bland stuff we get so often. Point of view, looking down that kind of little valley there, running down between the rock formations. Again, good use of the good tonal range in this. It might, I don't know this for a fact, it might benefit from just a little more contrast to pull the lights up just a little. But that's a minor picky thing. I'll give this one a 9.
Sky over Chicago.
Well, I guess I can't say there's too much sky since that's the title. And the sky is really the subject. And I guess the skyline is kind of supporting here. It is an interesting sky. But again, I mean, the sky's, yeah, it's interesting, but the time of day doesn't really give us interesting shadows or anything. It's kind of what I think of as like a documentary picture. Like I stood there and I took a picture, and sometimes that works. You get a really great one, but I don't find this one very impactful. I don't find it particularly interesting. It's kind of a forgettable picture, really. 7.
Yachts and things.
We can't complain about the sky in this one. Really a dramatic, wonderful sky behind this. Great use of the leading line in from the walkway here into the building. Combine that with a relatively low sun that gives you those nice shadows of the railing on the walkway, and both the near part and farther in, you see the grid lines on the walkway. A little texture in the water, just enough wind to give you texture there. Really sharp. The building is sharp. I guess there are yachts there. It's in the title. I mean, you really can't tell. The main thing is that building and this walkway, really. And it's really well done. Great composition. I'll give this one a 9. Beautifully done. Great sky.
Reaching towards the sun.
It's cropped awfully tight. The lighting is not interesting. There's too much depth of field. It's just as much detail on that rock way back there as there is in the cactus. That's a 7. There's just not much there.
USAF Thunderbird's Eye View.
It's too bad this isn't in color because these guys look great in color. Blue sky and the paint job on those airplanes. I'm not saying that's a detriment to this picture. Just these guys do better in color. Having said that, this is good. We got a nice sky behind it, better than since it is in black and white. If it were in color, that nice blue sky would be great. But since this is in black and white, then the detail that we have in the clouds is very helpful, in my opinion. The reason I'm hesitating, I've seen so many of these pictures like this. I'm trying to see what separates this from the others that makes this one stand out. It is a good and not necessarily easy to capture. I give this a 9.
Snowflake's vantage point.
I don't know where to look with this picture. It's well, it is kind of an abstract look, but it's not abstract enough to be an abstract because I know it's trees. I can see the trees, but the image doesn't have any impact for me. It doesn't have any interest for me. I don't see much here. I mean, tonal range is pretty good in it. I'm going to be generous and give this a 7.
Fleeting moment in the sun.
It's an interesting treatment. I think the use of this rust color is really cool. It's very different. And then the leaves of the plant, so bright, they really stand out. I think it's an interesting image. It's something that's really, really different. I like this. I'll give this an 8.
Photogenic old church.
Just as a minor point, which isn't going to affect the score, the top of that arch, you almost missed it. I mean, it didn't give it much detail above that arch. But having said that, the rest of it is really good. Great texture. 2 different textures in the 2 different walls, which is really, really very cool. Kind of a smoother texture in the wall closest to us, then that rougher, different layers of textures in the far wall. And you were blessed with a sky that really adds to the image. I think this might benefit from a little more contrast, not a lot, but it might make it pop just a little bit more. But having said that, it's a good image. I'll give this a 9.
Sisters.
Well, the black and white part of this is very good. A good tonal range throughout the blacks and the whites. Nothing's blown out. Nothing's too muddy. The lady to the left, because she's looking to the left, you've got her right up again. And of course, maybe that's what you took, but she's got nowhere to look because she's right up against the edge of the picture. That works for this lady on the right. She's got plenty of room to look. But the lady up top, it's just too bad this wasn't more space to the left to give her something to look into. If there had been more room there, I'd have given this a 9. But because of that, it's really, otherwise, it's a good image. I'm going to give this an 8.
And our final image of the evening, out walking with Dad.
Good eye for having having seen this. I mean, look at, we got the diagonal white lines, lower left, upper right. We got the diagonal shadows, lower right, upper left. And the one kid on the far right motioning with his hands. Really, it's an excellent capture, and good for you, whoever this was, for seeing this. And the black and white treatment is just perfect. We've got plenty of detail in the whites, nice darks. There's detail in Dad's dark shirt still. You really did a nice job with this. I'll give this a 10.
And this is from David Besson.
Yeah, these two elephants were in the river just wrestling. And what was interesting was on the, this was looking to the left out of the vehicle I was in, looking to the right, we'd been tracking a leopard. So I was going back and forth between the elephants and the leopard. But this one, I hadn't seen that behavior in elephants before. That was just interesting. So thank you for
what lens did you use for what?
That was a 400.
A 400?
Full frame or a crop?
Full frame.
And is that most of the image there?
No.
That's cropped?
It's about 20, maybe 25%.
Ah, okay. What?
It was cropped severely.
Yeah. What camera? How many?
The Z9.
Oh, the Z9. Oh, yeah. You got plenty of megapixels.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really outstanding. Yeah. Yeah.
It was an excellent shot. We'll be looking forward to more from your Africa trip, David.
Well, I've got another, couple.
Yeah, I know. Tens of thousands to choose from. This is Leading the Drive from Ron Schaller. Ron's out of town this week, but he said he noted that this was taken a few years ago at the Great American Horse Drive. Out of business, this is Gwen Payton. Oh, looks like, she usually comes in via Zoom, but it looks like she's not here.
Right.
Yeah, she noted, in the middle of nowhere, farm country in eastern North Dakota, I had directions to this elevator beforehand, so I was able to find it without phone service. Taken with an iPhone 12 Pro. This photo was part of the recent Exploring the Light exhibit in Lone Tree. Wow.
Very nice.
See, kids, get out there with your smartphones. Follow me. This is from Danny Lamb.
This picture was taken in Bisty Badland in New Mexico. The Badland covers a big area and is a wonderful place for photograph. However, there's no hiking trails and you have to find your own ways.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun place.
This is Yachts and Things from Laura Blake. And let's see. Laura just popped in the chat. She said thank you, of course, Cliff. It was taken late afternoon this summer at the Chatfield Marina as a thunderstorm was building in the southeast.
Cool. Nice.
Very nice. I love the tonality on that. That was awesome. It's like every of the 256 shades. This is the Thunderbird's Eye View from Todd Lytle.
Well, I was pretty nervous actually when I heard that Cliff was. I figured I could pull a fast one on Jeff, but we're dealing with a 40+ year pilot and veteran of the United States military. So I'm thankful for what I got. The Thunderbirds that was at the United States Air Force Academy graduation. So I took this, Cliff, either the day that I saw you at the downtown, or I don't remember if this one, I mean, I could look if it came from the practice day, which was the day before, or the actual day of the graduation of the Air Force Academy cadets. So, and they always look better in color. I just felt compelled because I spent 2 damn days down there that I had to enter something, but I can come up with something better in color for sure.
Yeah, well, you know, it's tough to see something like this when you look at the impact and the creativity part and say, I've seen this. And that doesn't make it a bad image, but it's hard for me to give it a 10 when there's so many, you know.
I actually agree very much. The color, I said to Dan Greenberg, I said, I don't think that any of the military aircraft, Blue Angels, Thunderbirds, I shoot a lot of both of them. I just don't think color, I mean, black and white does them justice.
Well, look at it this way, Todd. On one image, you got the Jeff Johnson part of me, you got a 10.
Yeah. Well,
in this image, you got the pilot part of me, and you didn't get a 10.
I'm happy.
So you got a 9.5 for the night.
I'm good to go after my last 7.
Photogenic old church. This is from Andy Robbins.
Yeah, so I actually misnamed this. This is actually a burnt out church in southern Colorado in Ontario, I think it is. I struggled with this one because of the lines and trying to figure out how to square this thing up and what should be vertical versus the bottom or the top of the second wall. And I also struggled with adding color to the sky behind it. I decided not to.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did try to, I don't know if this is the final image I sent in or not, but I did punch up the sharpness a little bit. It may not just be showing, but it looks a little soft, I do agree.
Well, you did over sharpen it.
Yeah, and I purposely cropped the top of that thing just to cover the top of it. But I do see where I have a tendency to overcrop it.
Yeah, I would have left just a little more of the wall there, but it's not that's just a small thing.
So one suggestion, to me, the wall or the vertical on the right isn't quite.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so
I would suggest.
I lined it. I made this instead of this one.
Yeah, but put this one here.
Oh, that one.
Crop it in a little.
I'll crop it in a little bit more.
Not keep this point.
Oh, it looks like it. Oh, okay. Because you mentioned from the bottom to the top. Oh, I see it now.
Yeah.
I see it now. Okay, good observation. Good point. Yeah.
And this Out Walking with Dad is from Oz Spenninger.
Yeah, so I got this one for Jeff Johnson. And then you're showing it. But yeah, thanks for the comments. I cropped out things from distracting things. There were some shadows, other ones that I got rid of. Put a vignette on this, and the original black or the original color one was kind of flat. Was much better than black and white.
Yeah, no, this is made for black and white.
Yeah. So this was taken on our trip to Antarctica. We spent a few days in Buenos Aires, and I'm on the 7th floor shooting out. Open the window, shooting down.
Yeah.
With a 70 to 300 millimeter lens, and they happened to be walking by. And, oh, and also the kid with the 2 hands out.
Yeah.
I put a little white in between his dad's shirt and his arm, so it looked like it wasn't actually touching, but
You don't have to tell us that.
in reality, it was touching. So I fixed that.
Yeah,
So that's the story behind this.
yeah, cool. Excellent.
Yeah, that's
You
an
know,
awesome image. It's very good.
Before we go away, we've had a couple of comments tonight about, I did this because I thought Jeff Johnson was going to be the judge.
Right, yeah.
Now this is just my opinion. I don't think we should know who the judge is. You shouldn't be able to play to the judge. And I would do it too if I knew, but that's just me. I think that it lessens the, when you pick images that you know the judge will like, that's not good. Just my opinion.
No, I kind of agree with that, Cliff. And but then again, a lot of people want to know who the judge is going to be, and like you said, I mean, you shouldn't be playing to the judge anyways. You should be looking at the image strictly as the image itself,
Right.
Going by, the 12 elements of a merit image or some other criteria or a combination of everything.
Sure.
I take back everything I said. I didn't mean any of that. I tell you what, when I hear Jeff Johnson's the judge, I just get, it's not so much that I playing to him. He is brutal. I mean, he's really gotten, he's gotten feisty.
Well, I think there are some people here tonight that think I'm pretty brutal, so that's just.
Oh, you're a pain in the ass, but but I still thank you. I still thank you for your service and your volunteer.
Yeah, you're welcome.
But judges do have a bias.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Judges do.
So before we get out of here, Cliff, do you have any notes or comments for everybody about, in particular, black and white images or things to look out for when you're, producing a black and white image to submit for a competition?
The only thing I would say is, I think
Shoot for black and white. You should set your camera to black and white because it changes how you look at things. Obviously, most of us will take the color image and convert it, but I think if you really want to shoot for black and white, it would be good to shoot. Well, I think most of if you set your camera to like monochrome, the raw image will still have color, but what you see on the back will be in monochrome. So I think it helps you to see if you're getting what you want to get. And it's like I was supposed to do, what was I down for, Carl? To do square, right? In
November, the square crop. Yeah.
I think if you're going to shoot square, you should, if your camera allows it, you should set it to shoot square. So
exactly, yeah.
Your composite, when you're looking at it, you are looking at a square image and you're composing for the square image, not taking one that you shot normally and cropping it. Just my opinion. Yeah.
No, that's good advice. I do that myself. I shoot with a Fuji, and it's got a bunch of different customizable profiles.
Yeah.
So I've got my own little custom black and white, kind of emulates Tri-X thing.
Yeah.
And like you said, when you put it in that mode, you're seeing in black and white through the viewfinder. So it really does help to take the color out of it, and you're just looking at textures and tones and light and dark values and that kind of stuff. And, and one thing I noticed that you mentioned a couple of times where saying images were flat, and I think that's something that some people miss with black and white is that you don't have a black, you don't have a clean white. It's okay to have that complete tonal range, because that contrast that adds interest to the image.
Yeah.
And in some instances, it's the difference between making your subject stand out or having it just blend into the background.
I think most people know, or you should know, in Photoshop, if you go to the curves and hold down the Option key and take the diamonds on the far and move them in, it will show you exactly where the whites start and exactly where the blacks start. And that image that I said was really boring, the one that was kind of flat landscape thing, I did that. I pulled it up at home and did that. Man, it made a great image. But the one that was submitted was just, it's blah. So. I'm sorry, maker, but it was blah.
That's okay. Yeah, and to your point, we're using the sliders in there. That works in Lightroom also.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah, yeah, of course.
Where you can take the blacks and the white slider and hold the Alt key, and then you can see the exact areas that are going too black or too white.
Right. Yep. Makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
One of the comments, this is Oz.
Yes.
With starting with a color image, converting to a black and white, you can, if you have, say, the color red, you can make it either be very light or very dark. You're starting off with a black and white image to begin with.
But I was only talking about seeing what's on the back of the camera. You still get the color image if you're shooting raw. Because you're right.
I think,
yeah.
I think Oz is talking about when you're converting.
Right.
When you're editing, you can use the color mixer to change the contrast and values of reds and blues.
I wasn't suggesting you shoot a black and white image.
Okay. Got it.
Just that you see the JPEG. Yeah. Okay.
So when we were using film, you could use color filters to have that effect. So if you use the green filter, then the trees weren't so dark.
Oh, sure. Or red soften the skin. Sure.
Right,
Yeah.
Right. So now it's much easier with Photoshop.
No kidding.
Exactly. Yes. All right. And Oz, since you mentioned it, I will mention it also. In a couple of weeks on July 12th, our program presenter will be Mr. Oz Fenninger. And he'll be talking about photographing Antarctica and the neighboring islands, discussing working in cold weather in a cold saltwater environment. I used to live in Florida, so salt water was always something that I was concerned about when I was out shooting on the coast. So there'll be a very interesting discussion and talk next month. I hope everybody attends. Does anyone else have any questions, comments, or concerns?
It's none from the room.
All right. Well, again, thank you, Cliff, for filling in for Jeff. We appreciate it very much, and appreciate all your commentary. Hopefully, this was a good learning experience for everybody again. And y'all have a good evening, and we'll see you at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you all.